Most Americans avoid the dentist until they have a problem, and then those problems likely snowball, and we get so nervous about what needs to be done that we just continue to avoid going. So this morning we're chatting with Dr. Sean Moriarty from More Smiles and Lidditz about a sedation option that may be the key to getting your dental health back on track. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Good. How's
Taking Heather's seat this morning.
Keeping it warm for her.
She'll love that. She'll appreciate that. All right, so we're talking about IV sedation, right? Can you just kind of explain what that's all about?
Yeah, so IV sedation is basically a technique where an IV is placed in your arm, usually in your hand or, where your elbow is.
Okay.
And, a medicine is administered and it puts you in a very deeply relaxed state. So you're not quite asleep and you're still awake and aware of your surroundings, but it allows you to kind of tolerate, more dental procedures, and for people who have severe and, all kinds of anxiety to really go through and have their dental appointment without worrying about anything.
And you were kind of describing it as, if you tell me to turn my head to the left or open a little bit wider, I can still do that, but I don't really care about what's going on, right?
Right, exactly.
All right, so let's talk about who would be good for this, because I know a lot of people suffer from dental anxiety. Is this just you think an IV, you think something more serious? Is this something that is just for people who are dealing with extreme anxiety, or just about anybody?
This is really good for people who have moderate to severe anxiety, but actually it can be good for anyone who doesn't want to tolerate any of the unpleasantries of dentistry. Anything from as simple as a cleaning or a filling to more complex procedures like implants or root canals.
So I could go to you theoretically if I just say, it just kind of makes me a little nervous. This might be a good option for me, right? All right, so let's talk about, we were saying before, and you and I were talking on the phone earlier, a lot of people, I'm surprised, just avoid going to the dentist because of anxiety, right? You're saying it seems to be more common than what you would imagine, right?
Yeah, a lot more than I'd like to admit. Actually, tooth decay is the second most common disease behind the common cold, and it's no wonder because a lot of people like to or don't like to go to the dentist.
Right.
It's recommended usually twice a year that you see your dentist, but usually people will go when some problem occurs, like they're in pain or they break a tooth or something like that.
And I would imagine too, if you wait a few years, I get nervous if I wait like 8 months versus 6 months. So I can only imagine people who wait a few years or maybe a decade or so, that their problems have probably snowballed and they're like, oh my gosh, if I go now, it's going to be this insane amount of procedures. I don't even want to deal with it.
Right.
But IV sedation will give them kind of an option to get through it quickly, right?
Exactly. So what it does is not only allows you to tolerate more procedures, but actually when you get the IV sedation, you're able to kind of get most of the dental work done in 1 or 2 visits, because you can stay in this twilight sleep a lot longer, and you're able to kind of tolerate all these things without any problem. The other good thing is that most of the time you don't remember any of it or only a little bit of the procedure, so it's kind of erased from even happening.
You don't have that fear of picturing exactly what was going on, really.
That's right.
So, Sean, I do want to ask you very quickly, though, how do you go about finding somebody who is, say, registered or can do this safely? I know a lot of people, as soon as you talk IV, you get nervous. So how do you know?
Right. So the best thing to do is to kind of look online. At More Smiles and Lidditz, we're one of the premier practices in the area which offer the IV sedation services in central Pennsylvania. But the best thing to do is to really look online, do your research, do your due diligence, and kind of read the reviews, see what procedures a dentist performs under IV sedation, and kind of go from there.
And we are running out of time, but I do want to point out, you guys go through like a whole medical history too, to determine what sort of sedation is good for a patient and what will work and what's safe, right?
Right. So if someone comes in, you kind of assess their needs and, fill out like an extensive medical health questionnaire. And from that, we can determine what kind of sedation is best for you. IV sedation is usually great because it's easy to put someone to sleep, it's easier to wake them up, and it's actually even a little bit safer.